Okay, so I've been following the Brexit disaster, as I'm sure many of you watching have been over the last few days. Started a few days ago with Theresa May's second meaningful vote on her Brexit deal, where she basically just presented the same deal she had last time, and unsurprisingly, it got slapped down because she hadn't changed much. Now, it's quite interesting that she gets the second deal, but she gets the second vote, sorry. But then it went on to a vote on a potential no-deal Brexit because they hadn't secured a deal yet, and 29th of March is literally around the corner, and that was voted down. So now they're pretty much obliged to find some sort of deal. And then on the third day, there was a vote on potentially having a second referendum, which of course was voted down. So Parliament wants to stay, but it wants to remain, but it wants to leave, but it doesn't want to leave, but it wants a second deal, don't want a second deal, wants a second vote, don't want a second vote. It's all a bit confusing. I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. In fact, they don't even seem to know what they're going to do with this extra time, because they have now prolonged Brexit, extended Article 50 by 3 months. And I don't really know what they're going to do. In fact, the EU actually has to agree to this before it goes any further. So that's going to be interesting to see. What I will say about Brexit, the longer it goes on, the more it is dragged out and extended and prolonged, and the more there's all this fiff-faffing, pissing about by Parliament, by the government, by the politicians, the more people are going to lose faith in the political system, the more they're going to lose interest, the more they're going to lose loyalty to this neoliberal sphere that UK politics seems to exist in. And ever since Thatcher came to power, that sphere, that bubble, the bubble of centrism, centre politics, has moved significantly to the right. And it used to be 40, 50 years ago, far left was communism. It was proper Stalinist type philosophy. It was the seizure of private land. It was complete state ownership of everything. It wasn't democratic socialist ideals such as Corbyn is now toting, and Corbyn now supports, or has supported throughout his entire political career. But now people like Corbyn, the people who support Corbyn, are somehow deemed hard left. Although even if you would know, if you've even remotely taken any interest in Marxist Leninist theory, you would know that Corbyn is by no means a Marxist or a Leninist. Yes, he agrees with Marx on certain principles. Of course he does, because they're both left-wing thinkers. But that doesn't mean he's a Marxist. If you read Marx, if you read Capital, or you've read the Communist Manifesto, you would know Corbyn does not support complete seizure by the state of the entire private sector. He agrees. He believes in and agrees with certain state takeover, state buying out of certain infrastructures such as the rails, the NHS, the Royal Mail, etc. He doesn't believe in complete state ownership of everything. So what's really interesting is to see this whole idea that Corbyn is somehow far left when he isn't. 30, 40 years ago, he was just left wing. That was all there was to it. But even the left wing has moved substantially to the right. So these ideas of state ownership of certain infrastructure, certain bodies, and a living wage and helping poor people is somehow seen as far left, and that's become what is the new far left. And ideas like communism and Stalinism are completely out of the picture altogether. They're just, if you believe in those, you're an extremist as far as the centre of politics in the UK goes. But ideas on the far right, such as controlling, shutting off immigration, not letting immigrants in, demonising immigrants and foreigners and benefit claimants and these people, demonising, having a scapegoat. Those ideas are becoming more and more mainstream, more and more acceptable to have. So it seems to be that the right wing is getting more ground and the left wing is just disappearing into the distance because the centre field has moved. And what's going to happen with Brexit, if it continues to be delayed like this, if it continues to be this back and forth nonsense where nothing really happens, then it's going to give rise to far left and far right. And I mean the far left, the communists, the Stalinists, the Soviet types. They're going to come out of the woodwork, and so are the far right, the actual Nazis, the racists who want to exterminate every Middle Eastern person across the country, across the planet, the actual racists who want to lynch black people, the actual racists who want to stop gay people getting rights, trans people having rights, etc. And we're going to go back to the old days of the 30s. Now they keep telling us Corbyn is going to be taking us back to the 70s if he gets into power. Well, if this continues, we're going to go back to the 30s, where we had Mosley and his lot and the black shirts marching around London, clashing with the ethnic people, clashing with the white people. Because it wasn't just ethnic people that clashed with Mosley and his band of thugs, it was regular working class white people as well. People seem to forget that. We fought on the Battle of Cable Street, etc., Battle of Lewisham, where we stood against these fascist thugs and we fought them with everything we had and we kicked them out. We had a whole war over fascism, and what is going to happen if this continues? Fascism will give rise, and fascism will be on the rise, as will the far left. And there will be fights in the street all over again. And I'm not one of these fucking wet flannels that's going to stand here and say to you, we need to deliver Brexit, otherwise there will be far right riots in the street. I'm not one of these apologists, one of these sympathisers who wants to pander to the far right and give them exactly what they want. I'm no Neville Chamberlain. I will not stand here and say, give them what they want, otherwise they'll fight. Fuck them. Fuck them. If they want to be on the rise, let them be on the rise, and we will do exactly what we did 40, 50 years ago, and we will chase them out again. But what I'm saying is, the democratic process in this country, the actual political establishment, the actual, the democratic process is under threat. And that is good and bad in many respects. We will see an end to neoliberalism, but we will see a rise in fascism. And we will see a rise in complete and total communism, complete state takeover. And I know there's many people on my list who may be watching this who are against many of the far left, who consider themselves to be somewhat far left, but they are against certain far left thinking, like Marx was, like Lenin and Stalin, such as complete state takeover. That is what we'll give if this Brexit mess continues. And what's happened now with the far right, we've now seen, early hours of this morning, news broke, I didn't see it until I woke up this morning, of a terrorist attack in New Zealand, where they attacked a couple of mosques, killed a bunch of people, at least 30 people last time I checked. And nobody yet, so far, not very many people in the media, is calling this a terrorist attack. The definition of terrorism is violent, destructive acts in the name of a political or a religious goal. That is terrorism. So you can't stand there and say that's not a terrorist attack. It is. So, seems to be many people who claim they're against terrorism, as we all should be. We should all be against terrorism, whether it's Islamic terrorism, Christian fundamentalism, whether it's the Israeli acts in Palestine and Gaza and the West Bank. We should all be against terrorism. But so many people want to excuse terrorism or say it's somehow justifiable when it's on their own side. So if you're someone who claims to be against terrorism, as most people do, and you say you're against Islamic extremism, perfect, good job, you're on the right line of thinking. But then when Darren Osborne drives a van into worshippers outside a mosque, including a man who was already receiving medical attention for a prior condition, then you say it's an eye for an eye, one of ours, one of theirs, sort of thing. It's excusable. You're a terrorist sympathiser. Nothing else to it. And what is going to happen with this Brexit mess, we are going to see more of this happening. More of these extremist attacks by far-right loons who have been groomed by far-right hate preachers like Paul Golding, like Gerard Batten, like Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Paul Golding and Jada Franson. All those types, James Goddard, all those types of far-right hate preachers, they are proliferating this type of thing. They are leading to this type of thing. In fact, Joe Cox's murderer, did he or did he not scream Britain first before he shot her and stabbed her to death? We've already had one MP assassinated by a far-right nutcase. What more is it going to take before this Brexit mess is sorted out? Because this is what it's giving rise to. And I know there's an illogicality there. There's a bit of a fallacy there, because a lot of people say, well, European Union, what's that got to do with Muslims? But you're not thinking in the frame of mind as a hard Brexiteer. I've seen many interviews with these people saying they voted Brexit to get the Muslims out, which makes no fucking sense, because where the Muslims come from, stereotypically, they come from the Middle East, and we don't vote to leave the Middle East, we vote to leave the European Union. So it makes these people make no logical sense. Don't try and understand them, don't try and rationalise them in any way. They're just nutcases who have been fed a scapegoat by the establishment, by the media, and that scapegoat is going to become ever bigger and ever scarier and ever more of a whipping boy post-Brexit, or the more Brexit goes on. I'm interested to see what's going to happen after Brexit as well, once we leave the EU. If, say, in this utopian society, because I really want to know about this brave new world that the hard Brexiteers want, the ones that are scared of foreigners and immigrants. Once we've left the EU, once we've kicked all the lazy, work-shy, but somehow stealing all our jobs, Europeans out, who are we going to blame for the problems? Do you think society won't have any more problems? Of course it will. Who are we going to blame for the lack of housing, for the lack of jobs, for the lack of health care, for the lack, libraries closed. Who are we going to blame for all that kind of stuff? Is it going to be maybe black people next? Okay, so we move on, we kick out all black people. We end up with, potentially, a nation of purely white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, British people born and bred throughout the entire island. Who's next? Who's it going to be when society still has problems? Because there will be problems. Are we going to blame the gays, the Irish maybe, the Scots, the Welsh? Are we going to blame people in wheelchairs, trans people? When's it going to stop before we realise it's not the Muslims, not the Europeans, or the gays, or the blacks, or the trans, or anybody else in society that are causing these problems? It's the rich and powerful establishment. When is it going to end? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.